Welcome to Amy Learns to Cook. I'm Eric. Now today's show, we're going to make a peach crisp, but just not your ordinary peach crisp. It's going to have bourbon. It's actually going to have a citrus bourbon reduction that's actually going to offer just a little bit of tartness that's going to complement all the sweetness in these gorgeous peaches. So why don't you join me as we make our Bourbon Peach Crisp. So the first part, we're going to actually do the crisp. In real life, you may want to do your reduction first, get that started, and then you can work on other parts. But in order to show you everything without a mixer blocking a view, we're going to kind of do things this way. So we're going to do the crisp, which is the topping, and then we're going to throw it in the fridge so it stays cold, and then we'll do the other stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is have the ingredients. So we have 3/4 cup of oats, and I'm just using the Quaker oats here, the old-fashioned kind, and you just throw that in there. We don't make a mess. We have 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. So we're just going to go ahead and throw that in there. Hopefully not make a mess. And then we have 3/4 cup of brown sugar that it was lightly packed when I measured it. And then we have 1 1/4 sticks of butter, and it should preferably be cold. Otherwise, if it's warm, it's going to make a mess. That's all I can really say. We're going to go ahead and actually fling these in a couple at a time, I suppose. If I figure out how to get this going here. We're going to do this on like a low speed here. Yay. And the goal here is we're just going to beat this stuff until it's, I don't know, coarsely clumped, I guess. So this is basically 10 tablespoons of butter. And I'm using just the regular salted kind. If you're going to use unsalted, like you normally would when you're baking, then you'd have to add a little bit of salt. So we're going to let this go. This might take it maybe a couple of minutes. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and stop the, oops, go the other way here. I'm going to go ahead and lift this guy up a little bit. And you'll see that this is actually, I can't say light, butter is never light, but it's very clumpy. We got lots of little pieces everywhere. The bigger ones, you know, I don't know, maybe you can break it up with your fingers or something if you want to. I just got a spoon and I'm just swirling. So ultimately what we're going to do is we're going to put this in the fridge because I don't want this warming up. I want this to stay just a little hard while we're putting everything else together. And then this will go on last. This is our topping. So once again, we broke out the Tramontina, I don't know, what's this thing called, Boo? Tramontina induction heater because it works so well and I can get the camera right in here. We also have an all-clad Windsor pan. What that means is it's a saucepan, but the top is opened wider than what the base is, which means it can help reduce a little faster than what a normal saucepan would do. And I also like it because it's got little markings on the inside, so I don't have to sit there and kind of guess and start pouring in the measuring cups, figuring, did I reduce it enough? First of all, when you cook, you're to make you and your guests happy, okay? So use the best ingredients you can, cook, have fun, and all good stuff, right? Okay, lecture's over. Funny part, Amy's making fun of me because I'm using some Evan Williams bourbon whiskey, right? As we know, in the United States, all bourbons are whiskeys, but not all whiskeys are bourbons. Bourbon is an area in Kentucky, so whiskeys made in that area can say they're bourbon, and then nobody else can say they're bourbon. So I say, cook with whatever whiskey you want to cook with. If you want to use Canadian whiskey or some other whiskey, by all means, it'll probably taste just fine. Now people in Kentucky are going to shoot me, right? Also, oh, I better get some stuff in here before it blows up the pan. So watch out. Fire in the hole! Whoa! So we're going to add about a cup here as it's bubbling everywhere. This is an experiment, okay? I will say, ooh, I can smell that. The recipe works fine using a fraction of this, and that's how we're gonna write the recipe up. I'm doing a cup, reducing it down to half a cup, then we're gonna add in more ingredients and reduce that in half. I just don't wanna reduce the other stuff too much because then it won't be proportion. My thought is the way we're gonna write the recipe is the bourbon mingles okay with all the other ingredients, but I think it kind of gets lost. So I'm doing a little experiment here. Reductions are meant to make flavors a little more stronger than they otherwise would be. And besides, I don't want a cobbler or a crisp that's just all watery, right? We're gonna do things and you're gonna see what we're gonna do to make it look all pretty and stuff. So it's definitely boiling. I'm gonna reduce this down because right now we don't need to have it just boiling. It can simmer a little bit. If I can figure out how to turn this thing down. Oh, hit the minus might be helpful. All right. So the idea is once we get serious with this reduction, I'm going to be adding some more ingredients and we're just going to simmer this for about maybe 10 minutes to reduce it down. If you don't want to use whiskey, you want to keep this non-alcoholic, then use something else like say apple juice. It should work fine. And use maybe 2 to 4 ounces of that and then reduce it down. The flavor will be incredible. So this part is where we can have a little liberalness, freedom with how we want to do the recipe, right? Because it's going to be reduced anyway. So if you're off a little bit, it's not a big deal. But if you're going to add like this much, yeah, then you're going to be in trouble. So for this, we're going to have a twist. First of all, I'm going to start off with actually, and if you can see this, it's a triple blend mix. It's raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, and it's going to be interesting to say the least. It adds a little bit of a berry flavor to it. And I'll get that out in a minute here. I'm adding ballpark of a half a cup. The other stuff we're going to be adding is some fresh squeezed orange juice, right? So I'm just going to give you a quick demo on how this works, right? If you've got a machine that can do it, great. Otherwise, I just do it the old-fashioned way because we're only doing 2 oranges here. And it doesn't take too long to do it. And then also, we're going to be doing a couple of limes as well. And it just creates a lot of fun. We're going to add in this whole concoction a half a cup of reduced bourbon. So in this case, the bourbon was 1 cup and I reduced it in half. So it just makes it a little more boozy. Although technically the alcohol burned out of it, it's just the flavor is more concentrated. If you're going to do not 8 peaches, but you're going to just cook a little one, maybe using 4 peaches in like a little 8x8 pan, then all this stuff you're going to be doing half. And your finished reduction should be about 1/4 cup, which is going to be it's not quite a syrup, but it's kind of like that. Where ours is going to be about 1/2 cup. So we're going to have a little bit more, but we're putting a ton of flavors because we've got well over 1 cup worth of liquids being reduced down. In fact, we have probably close to 2 cups of liquids being reduced down to just 1/2 cup. So that's what intensifies the flavors. And that's what we're going to do. And then we just basically put it all in here and we're going to let it simmer. And it takes about maybe 10 minutes. If you choose not to do, say, frozen berries, for example, it might be a little quicker because these guys are obviously a little cold and they have to warm up before they melt. So we'll get that going. So we have all the ingredients in here now. We're just going to go ahead and let it simmer. When you first start it, You know, you might have it on kind of like a medium high or something, and then once it starts boiling, then reduce it down to a simmer. And then, like I said, probably about 10 minutes, maybe 15 or 20, depending upon how crazy you are with the ingredients. We use limes. You are free to use lemon if you want more of a stronger lemony flavor or lime flavor. Get your microplane out and go ahead and zest it. Me, I'm happy the way it tastes, so I'm going to leave it the way it is. But you are always free. So hopefully for people asking, can I substitute this? By all means, do so. Reduction is going to get a enhanced, a more intense flavor than you would if it just contained a bunch of water. But then, like I said, it's going to mix with the syrups and the sugars from the peaches, and it is just great. But we don't want too much of this, right? We're not trying to make a soup out of it. So we're going to go ahead and let this simmer away, and we'll be back when it's done. Alrighty, so our little sauce has been simmering for quite a while now, and it's reduced pretty good. I know you can't see this, so I'll have to point it out for you, but we started out where the spatula is kind of pointing up here, halfway up the pan. It's now well under the 1 cup reading, which means we're probably in the area of a half a cup. I wasn't worried about pulp or seeds earlier because we're going to strain all that out, right? Going right here. So we're gonna pour this concoction. It's kind of might be a good idea to use like a big bowl or something to do this, or in this case a strainer is a little more pointed. This flat one might not have been the best idea by me. Don't know if you can see that, but it came in right at about half a cup, which is what our target was for, and we're able to strain out a lot of those seeds and any pulp from the citrus. So I think we did pretty good. So I'm just going to go ahead and let this cool off over here, and we're going to go ahead and get our peaches going, and then we can get all this assembled. So now we're going to make the filling of this peach crisp. And I know it seems backwards, but from a time perspective, it's actually one of the more quicker things to do here. It has few ingredients and we just stir them real fast. I'm using 8 yellow peaches that have previously been peeled, pits removed, and sliced into 8s. We have a video where we did that. If you haven't seen it, you might want to take a quick look at it. It might be entertaining. And if you really haven't done it before, it should be helpful for you. So right now, this is just the peaches in here. What we're going to do is we're going to add a half a teaspoon of nutmeg and a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. The nutmeg, if you want it fresh, or at least as fresh as you can get it, get a little microplane and just take the nut and just go back and forth. Otherwise, we have Penzi Spices not too far from here, and their stuff is really fresh. So we just keep it in the fridge. So I'm going to go ahead and actually add it to the sugar so it's a little easier to get incorporated. So that way 1 or 2 peaches don't enjoy all the funness. So I'm just going to kind of stir that up in there a little bit. Not scientific. And I'm just going to pour the white sugar. So I have half a cup of granulated white sugar there, and I have a full cup of brown sugar, light brown sugar, that's just been lightly packed down. And we're just going to give this a little bit of a stir. Nothing too fancy here. Don't want to beat the peaches up too much. We got 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. It kind of adds as a little bit of a thickening agent. So we're We're going to go ahead and get that in there as well. Just for grooviness. We've got a half a cup of our bourbon, berry, citrus, reduction, whatever you want to call it. I took a little taste of it, and it's kind of a tangy berry. So the berries are definitely strong, but the lime and the orange juice definitely lend it to it. I don't taste the alcoholness of the bourbon in it, even with the whole cup I added to it. So I think the berries might have overpowered that a little bit. But bourbon always adds something. So I think it's still a good suggestion to add that. If you want just pure booze, then obviously you can just pour pure booze and don't put anything else in there. Just start giving up a little bit of their juice, and the sugar melts in with all the juices, and then this little tartness hits it. It's really a good flavor, and like I said, I took it to work, and a lot of people liked it. Just going to go ahead and prepare our pan, which in this case, it's a Le Creuset. I have no idea, 11.35. If anybody knows what that means, feel free to add a comment. Generally speaking, if you're doing something that has 4 large peaches, which makes about maybe 4 cups of peach filling, then a little 8x8 would work. If you're going to do what we're doing, the full 8, then you're going to want something bigger, like I don't know, 10 by 13, 11 by 13, 9 by whatever, but it's going to have to be kind of big. Using a little one would probably be overload. What we're doing here is we're just taking some butter, and we're just liberally applying it, so that way it's all over the place. Believe me, this stuff benefits. I don't know. I'd probably get in trouble if I just said just leave the stick in there and let it melt and become part of this. But if you could leave a couple of pieces in there, get this in here. And like we're just doing this. If you leave a couple of nuggets in there, I won't tell, all right? And now the part we've been sort of waiting for, adding it together. So just make sure I get some of this ooey, I don't know, it's not really a syrup, but it's almost that way. This gives me something to lick the bowl at least. Not that Amy's gonna notice, right? So, I don't know. Make sure I got that in there. So I think we're good to go. I think now we can add this crisp mix that we made earlier. So earlier we made this crisp. You can see that right there, yay. And I'm just going to go take the cellophane off here. And the idea is, exception of a couple of these bigger pieces, you can just crumble with your hand here. Just want to make sure get as much of the peach is covered as possible. Wouldn't want somebody complaining, would we? I know I would. I'd sue the cook, right? All right, I think we are good there. We've previously have preheated the oven to 350 degrees, and we're going to go ahead and put that in there. And obviously we're looking for this to cook until the topping is golden. Well, it's already kind of a brown, so it's going to turn a little tan on us. And we want things to be bubbling pretty good. 45 minutes is kind of a, kind of like a standard, but it may cook sooner. So you might want to check it at maybe 30 minutes, and feel free to pull it out 35 or 40 if it looks like it's done. Last thing you want to do is burn this stuff. So that's what we're going to do. I feel like saying greetings, everyone, because it's been such a long time since I've looked in this camera. This has probably been the most longest 40 minutes, well, plus 20-minute cooling period, that I've had to endure. So we did only bake this for about 40 minutes. The top here was starting to get a little bit of brown, which is what I wanted, and I just didn't want to risk it getting any browner, right? The liquid was bubbling. I was all happy. Heck, our off-camera vampire even stuck her little greedy lips, on a spoon and slurped some out. So it got her seal of approval. So it's time to serve this up, and I'm just going to go ahead and, I don't know, can we have some sort of decency here? I'm just going to put the spoon there. Believe me, spoon's not going to go to waste sitting there, right? You can imagine who's going to bum rush me and get her own serving. So I have some Haagen-Dazs vanilla bean ice cream to go with this. Miss Greedy on the side, she's got I'm not sure what the brand is, but it's a non-dairy. It's an almond milk, and they make a snickerdoodle thing. So, it's So? Is that who makes it?
Cashew milk.
It's So, and they make a cashew milk ice cream. So Amy's in cloud 9, except only one store around here carries it. So that's her little limit. I don't know, I'm trying to be nice. Off camera, believe me, this guy's gone, right? Slurp, done, but I gotta be polite. So put that there, we got that there. So at this point, we're ready to eat. Amy's had to look at it and drool and give her a little seal of approval. So I assume it's ready for you guys. It was ready for me a half hour ago, but I was just being nice. So the ice cream is already melting. We got a little bit of the juice, which took on the color. We only had a half a cup of that reduced berry bourbon citrus concoction that we made, and it's already influenced all the juices. So it'll be kind of interesting. So the peaches should be sweet, right? Because that's what they do, right? So the peach has that warm flavor that they're known for. You can pick up a little bit of the cinnamon. Yeah, that's about all I can say is that tastes great. But I'm picking up warm flavors here. The tartness, to me, doesn't really, it's not there. Somehow it disappeared. And it may have reduced some of the over-sweetness that you'd get when you put, I don't know, 2 cups of sugar in a recipe, knowing that you also got peaches, which have their own ton of sweetness. And somehow, without it tasting as bitter as the raw stuff was that we made, it was bitter. It would almost pucker your lips. It was bitter. But it wasn't overbearing, because when it mixes with this, it's just enough to offset. So it did what it's supposed to do. If you like this recipe, then subscribe below, give us a thumbs up and a like, and leave a comment. And visit us at amylearnstocook.com, and we're on Pinterest and Twitter at Amy Learns to Cook. You can't eat yours until I'm done eating mine. Ah!
Hurry up! Wrap it up.
I don't know. Amy wants me to wrap it up so she can eat eat hers.
Ha!
That wasn't good. Should have put your makeup on, then you can get on camera and you could eat a little quicker. Mm-hmm.